let's talk about, I mean, I've only seen one part because Bad Fate has only put up one part so far on their YouTube channel, but I'm sure part two is gonna come and some people are maybe subscribed to that. We should subscribe to them on
I think
Patreon.
it's behind a
Uh,
paywall, I believe.
Yeah, no, yeah, you have to subscribe on Patreon, $5 a month, which is really not much. But I mean, Sam, this interview is legendary. I mean, I've listened to the first whatever part it is, if it's the first or second one between Norman Finkelstein and Briahna. It's just too funny. Like, I mean, I feel like anything you ever say
I
to Norman Finkelstein, he thinks that you're not agreeing with him. Like his starting position is a position of disagreement. But yeah, go ahead,
I
and
know.
then we'll set up the scene, what it's about, kind of. Yeah.
I don't, to be honest, I think Norman Finkelstein is from New York, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I think it's Bill Bear is from Boston. He's a comedian, but he has this thing that he says, and I think it's very true for uh, different groups of people at different countries, but like New England people and from certain generation especially, I think the way they talk, it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
It's just it comes across as if they're like arguing with you and they're just like trying to tell you like pass me like a a cup of tea or something, but they it just comes across very aggressive
Yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, I know what you mean a bit. Well, I would say just as a first of all, it's just great content, Bad Faith. And even though I haven't subscribed financially to them because can't yet, I really urge everybody to, because she finds, because a lot of interviews I don't watch anymore because I feel like Norman Finkelstein or Noam Chomsky or whoever goes on and repeats the same old
Yeah.
stuff and everybody agrees with each other.
But
But
she
I
finds
think
a point of
she always
contention. There's a point to her interviews,
exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah, I think it moves the discussion forward
Yeah.
always. And apparently, I haven't read the article, but Norman Finkelstein has written an article about
It's a book, I
Obama.
believe. And this is a chapter of it.
Oh, really? Okay, I
Yeah.
think, but this part of it has been released as article.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay.
But
Yeah. I'm trying to get my hands on it. If
I
that's the
think
case,
so.
we will revisit this
I
conversation, I feel, when the rest of
sure.
it comes out. But so should I just set the scene of the interview very quickly then?
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, I just wanted to point out that it was a great content. I just it's not a repeat of like same old thing.
no, very good point. And it's like Brianna that brings that out of it. And I think we'll get to that even more. But the interview kind of starts right away into it. So there's no introduction. That's why I'm not even sure if it's the beginning or like middle part of it. But pretty much based on my understanding, Norman has a new book coming out. And one of the chapters is on Obama. And I think the chapter, based on how I understand the interview, pretty much talks about how absurd and I guess fake Obama and how much of a narcissist Obama was and his whole campaign. I'm assuming it's something around that. And the point of contention, I feel, between Brianna and Norman is that Norman brings in like a lot of things that are, I guess, like on the superficial level of attack too. Like in the interview, there's one part where he's like, and he had one person who was black on
Jared,
his team. Yeah.
Jerry, I want to say Jerry Vallet, but
I
it's
don't
not
know
that.
the
It's something else. Fuck.
I don't know the name. And then he goes and say, but for all intents and purposes, that person was white. And then he goes on an anecdote
Yes,
about how
yes.
in the hospital they actually thought it was a white baby.
No,
And
no, no,
then
no. Their
Brianna's like,
child,
the
their
child, yeah,
child
when it
was
was a baby. Yeah.
no, no. The child of that person was,
So
I think,
the child of that
category.
person. Yeah, sure.
I think.
Yeah, something like that. So then Brianna's pretty much like, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. You've put on kind of all these like superficial layer of attack in your argument. And I think that kind of dilutes it and kind of makes you seem like, you have an agenda or a vendetta against Obama. And yeah, so that undermines your more substantial arguments. But I kind of both agree with Brianna, but also not, because you can see the way that Norman puts it. It just becomes, I feel like it highlights the absurdity of like Obama and his campaign, these kind of details that he points out, and it makes it more fun. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take kind of on their point of contention and everything?
again, it was so surprising because it happens a lot with bad faith that I think I'm gonna like agree with somebody and then I agree
Yeah.
with somebody else and he's like, what? Yeah. So I agree a bit with, I agree substantially. I'm gonna contradict myself as usual, but I'm gonna agree with Briahna Joy because I do think if you mix personal attacks with substantive attacks, you undermine your intentions, and people are gonna be like, I don't think you're, uh, even if the substance is true, I can't trust what you're saying because you seem to have a personal grudge. But I think, to be honest, with Norman Finkelstein's case, first of all, I don't think it really matters because I don't think like writing, academic work, all of this, I don't think any of this will change anything. So at the end, I don't think like this whole argument that you trying, because Briahna Joy talks about communication and bringing people together. I don't think that's possible. So
I mean,
while
it's
I
not
agree
that.
with her strategy, but I just don't think it's gonna, even with even if you do what she says and do best of intentions and all of that, it's not gonna work. And like not gonna work in a scale big enough to matter. Not, that's what I
Sure,
mean.
if you're gonna put it that way,
So
sure.
so might as well just say what you want. That's one. And I would say I do think with Mr. Finkelstein, Professor Finkelstein, I feel that's part of his humor
Mhm.
as well. Like, and I think maybe it would have been better if he had sort of a, like a like a opinion, like sort of Gore Vidal has a series of essays which I love and I read constantly. Like if he had a series of essays like Gore Vidal, because he has the same sort of biting tongue
Mhm.
and all that, and then had a series of different things. And by the way, maybe I am being too harsh because Gore Vidal attacks individuals on such a, I mean, he's so much even more ruthless than Norman
Yeah.
Finkelstein. But yeah, it's just, yeah. And by the way, I would say it's a recruiting thing with Mr. Finkelstein because with Alan Dershowitz as well. And this is in a documentary about him, that even Noam Chomsky says that he should let go of the plagiarism issue. He should just focus on the substance.
Hmm.
But I think he's such a stickler for the rules and for consistency and all that, that like he couldn't there. I think that also damaged, like if he focused on the substance of that feud, he would have won. But then it became about plagiarism and who says what is plagiarism. And I think, by the way, Mr. Finkelstein was right, but Harvard took Alan Dershowitz's side. So
Yeah.
you know
No,
but
you're so
yeah,
right.
so I know I'm contradicting myself like 3 times in the same
But
paragraph,
that's
but
also my point. I mean, that's also how I kind of saw it. But yeah, Norman and his style is so funny. I mean, I feel like he couldn't be a lawyer only because he wouldn't be able to stick to the best argument. He'll be like, okay, I will present this argument, but I
I
also
will,
have to
I
present
will,
these five other arguments. And he'd be like, no, this one's gonna undermine you. You're gonna have to throw the whole thing.
no, I have to destroy you. Psych, I just want them to die, like psychologically as well as physically.
So, but I
No,
mean, it's
but
really made me want to buy this chapter or book because it sounds like it's
I,
super entertaining too.
oh, to be honest, his writing is really interesting.
Yeah.
I read it as in a bit as a polemic, like as an attack. Like they used to do these writings that they would attack an individual. Like again, why I love Christopher Hitchens. I think there is a mockery in their attacks that undermines this whole culture that I think we're going to talk about in the tweet section a bit, that idolizes people, that puts people on a pedestal.
Mhm.
And I think Norman Finkelstein's writing, intentionally or unintentionally, when he talks about like, yeah, people essentially not being black, which is just Briahna Joy is like, Professor, you're not black. How can you? And he's like, I don't care. I can say whatever I want based on evidence. It's just, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so they're like they're mocking the whole. I think that aspect of like because
Yeah.
Obama is very much idolized by many as this intellectually capable. Even if he wasn't a good president, that wasn't because that was because he was too good. He believed too much in bipartisanship, and which is not like it's just not true. Like he was quite. I mean, I think before he got elected, Adolf Reed wrote about his politics quite eye-opening before he got elected as a
Obama is certainly not smart in those ways, but he's smart in like the kind of Trump way, in a way. Just like a total opposite of it, just like his brand and image and knowing what to put out and reading the room in that sense.
I believe Matt Christman, the guy from Chapo Trap House, he described him as, he said like Trump is reality TV American president, and Obama is like prestige TV American
that's really
president.
Good.
And he's like, he can give a good like turn of phrase. He can give a good turn of phrase and stuff. But I mean, he's smart. I just don't. He doesn't have the best intention. And he's not even intellectually that. I mean,
no.
I'm gonna read Mr. Finkelstein.
And it's all about himself. I mean, it is like one point, like he clarified it very well. I mean, anyway, this interview is a must watch. Like anybody has to see it. And Briahna does get frustrated at points, but I know that she knows that it's Norman Finkelstein, but she's just trying to get in there. He's like going on and on, the longest answer to then make his point. But one point that really highlights, he's like just juxtaposed like the Bernie campaign and the Obama campaign. And he's like, what comes to your mind first, right? With the Bernie one, it's like Medicare, it's kind of all these issues. Whereas the Obama one, it's kind of change, but like Obama himself, so he's like, they're like a great way to juxtapose them. And then another issue that they talk about is they criticize identity politics. And that's the point where Norman gives the longest answer, talking about how he knows some kids and they all kind of live with each other. And then to reach like a final point of saying that, there's all these different kids who have to live together and they've come together and live together from different backgrounds. So African-American, trans, white, and all this, and this kind of identity politics, instead of uniting these people stronger and bringing them together, it kind of separates them. So that's kind of one issue, because I'm kind of thinking of the issues that they talked about, but most of it was just everything and anything came in this interview. Hold on. Like there's even one point where Norman talked about his like reading habits. He's like, I read every single part of the book, the references. I'm like, how did this get into a 20-minute conversation? Which
ISBN fucking number. I memorize it. But no, I would. I think, for example, like when he talks about, like that person is, not black or something. Like he's specifically referring to a specific American culture of like, blackness and all that. So it's just. But it's just that answer I forgot. I genuinely have to go rewatch the interview. I've seen it twice, I think, and because it was weird. Like I don't really. He started with the whole students and I don't know. But
I listened to it a few times. You have to keep on listening, and then he like brings it all together. He brings it home. But I mean, he can say whatever he wants, right?
But he's awesome.
You can't come after him anymore either. Now he can't. I mean, he can't work at a university. He doesn't have a family for you to kill. His parents are dead. I mean, unless you're gonna torture him.
I'm sure he has friends or something.
Come and take his house. His couch that he's been sitting on since the turn of the century.
I mean, he's paid the price already for
poor guy. For sure.
I can't believe he's not officially not a professor, something which gets mentioned. And it's
I mean, he's not allowed to teach. We've done stories where like, we've done a story where a high school. It was a high school that wouldn't give him a job. And like the universities, and now he does get teaching roles, but like he like goes to Turkey, or it's like he gets like the kind of jobs that someone who just got their PhD got, or something like that, like a young teacher assistant, like one semester.
I think maybe better than that or something, but like
Doesn't sound
not a
like it.
tension. Well, but Samuel Huntington, Fukuyama, these people have. It's just unbelievable. People
Yeah.
who have like all the evidence in the world have proven them wrong, and are basically like just crazy people.
Yeah.
I think Alan Dershowitz, that
Yeah.
pedophiliac. Anyway,
But man, but I mean, for sure. I mean, it is so, yeah.
allegedly.
It is so unfortunate, and like I really don't condone this whatsoever. I completely condemn it. But it's clear that he could literally say the same. He could have said the same things, but in a different style, and picked one or two less beefs, and there would have been he wouldn't have
Yeah,
encountered
but
that many issues.
sure,
But
but
just
you could.
yeah,
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But a lot of outlets do that already, though, and
yeah,
nothing
and
changed.
you can
Like,
still get in
no, but
trouble like
that's
that,
just not
and
his style. I think
yeah,
he just loves. As you said, he loves to completely destroy his a
yeah.
scorch earth like argument. I think. Yeah, you're right, though. If
And I mean, he's
I
so
think he
unique
does.
for
Yeah,
being such a activist and a scholar in the same area. So he's not like an activist in one thing and like a scholar in like, Japanese art or something that has nothing to do. So he's like a very good point of reference for people, like Norman Finkelstein said this and all this. So any cause that he's tried to help, I think he's helped through his personality more than if he had a more laid back personality because of the attention that is brought and everything, if
sure,
anything.
but then I don't know. But I love his style of
Yeah, no, I
writing
love
and
his
stuff. So I
style for
wouldn't have
sure.
enjoyed it as much. So
No, it wouldn't have
yeah,
been the same.
but I know he would have had a better career, but
Poor
I
guy.
wouldn't have enjoyed his writing as much. So